And we're off. Welcome to the Friday. I think this is the first time I've done 2 nooners in a week in a couple of months with a fairly busy bowling announcing schedule on Flow Bowling and or the PWBA. And I've got another women's event from Spokane. They'll be in Spokane. I'll be here tomorrow night. And the big news for women's bowling is the major championships will now be moved to cable television. The CBS Sportsnet will have those, so that ought to be great. That is, not ought to be, it is. And good money involved, too, to the winner. I had 3 things I was going to talk about, and immediately 2 other things snapped up. The one that I think most people are going to be talking about, and I have a couple thoughts, is this whole Mike Richards Jeopardy business. If you don't know, about an hour ago, it was announced that he is not going to be hosting the show, that he's walking away from it. And if ever there was somebody who didn't have a choice, he would be the poster child. Number one, people blew up when he got the job in the first place because he was an executive producer. You know, it'd be kind of like, I can't even think of an analogy for it. I really can't. They did all the guest hosts, which is obviously a rating stunt, and they threw another bone to Maya Bialik and said, hey, you can do the nighttime ones, which aren't that often, but she's not hurting for money. So you've got this guy who people don't know that well, and I didn't see him host, so he could have been very good at it, but it looked a little goofy. And he may have, I'm sure he took himself out of the process, but what a weird sensation that has to be. Very, very weird. Then we come to find out that the guy was a problem as an executive producer at The Price is Right or producer there and other shows, and he was possibly harassing models and doing some less than professional things. And then yesterday came a damning report from the ringer.com about a podcast he had done 8-9 years ago where he made some remarkably inappropriate remarks. And whether you're not, you're all worked up because everybody's getting woke, and I don't even know what that means anymore. But the problem is these days, and everybody ought to know this, things you said in the past are coming back to haunt people, no matter how far in the past it was. Whether you think that's a good idea or you think it's terrible, and I think it's a little bit of both. But what he said was fairly unacceptable in a work environment, and even on a podcast when you're supposed to be freewheeling and have the freedom of speech. You have to understand that this stuff's going to come back to bite you, and it did. It sunk him, and it was dumb things he said, and some things he says he did at work were stupid. In other words, milk was a bad choice. Excuse me, I've been outside today, and I don't know where you are, but it is horrible outside here. I mean, it's sunny, but man. So now they go back to guest hosts until they figure it out. And if I were on that list of Jeopardy guest hosts, I would be deleting my last 750,000 tweets, Facebook messages, Instagrams, TikToks. I would take stuff off my wall. I would burn every book I have in the house. Whatever it is, be careful because they're coming after you. And some of it does bother me. It really does, that your past can be held against you. But that's how the game is being played right now. And until the rules get changed, until we go back to not worrying about that. And I don't know if we're ever going to. That's the thing. I don't really envision a day where we put that back in the bottle and go, oh, you know what you said 10 years ago doesn't matter. What you did 5 years ago doesn't matter. You're the right person for the job. We may not be at that point ever again. Whether that's good or not, I don't know. Sometimes good people get trampled by small mistakes, and yet other people can get away with damn near anything and still not lose jobs or keep their popularity or whatever. It's a weird world, and that's that. So Mike Richards is not going to be hosting Jeopardy. It didn't make any difference to me. I don't watch it that much, but a lot of people do. And if anything, Sony Pictures, who runs the show, found out very fast how popular this show is and how much it means to people when the outcry hit. And, you know, he hung in there for a little bit, but this last article, and I read it, and it's not good. And the article was fine, but you know what I mean? He had to go. I mean, the more I read it was almost every day there was something about him and his attitude at work and the way he treated people that you didn't think was going to sell. And it didn't. The public and the fans were speaking out against it, and he actually did the right thing. Now, it looks like he's going to stay on as the executive producer. I've been dying to see how that goes. First off, if I'm him, I'm taking a little sabbatical. And I know they're about to start taping some new shows. So I'm taking a sabbatical, okay? I am not coming back to the office right away. Maybe when they start taping, get a few out of the way. They've got people who can handle it without him there, and then he can sort of slide in one day. Oh, Mike's back. That's great. Let's hope he's not a putz. A lot going on in my house, as you may have noticed. This is an important day here in our house. Our son Drew is leaving probably right this second, and I don't have a watch on, so I don't know why I just did that. For his next college stop, which is an NAIA school and an excellent one in Georgetown, Kentucky, Georgetown College. And he is literally pulling out right now. So we'll see what happens with all of that. He's got a couple of years of eligibility left, and that's why the dog is barking. Not because of the eligibility, but my dog is now waiting for my wife to come back inside. But what he doesn't know is now she has to go to work. So at any moment, you'll hear more dog barking and the possibility of a cat. Now, the other story that I wanted to bring up, there's no big commentary on it, but it's no more Rafael Nadal for tennis fans for the rest of the year. Nadal is out. He just pulled out of everything for the rest of the year. He's had knee problems periodically, so that's a blow for tennis. Unfortunately, Federer's out. So tennis, which has been a bit wobbly lately, you had Naomi Osaka's issues. You had a lot of things going on that were not conducive to making tennis popular. This is going to hurt, clearly. So it's unfortunate, but Nadal is out of tennis for the rest of the year. The three things I wanted to talk about today, in no particular order, were Little League, Tim Tebow, and HGTV. I'll save HGTV for last because I think I'm going to end up making you mad today. And I don't do that on purpose. I'm not one of these people who tries to say deliberately dumb things to get attention. That's what radio and TV talk shows are for. And this is just me being me. But I'm going to say something that's not going to be popular, okay? And it's about the Little League World Series. It's terrible. The baseball is terrible. Now, maybe you know that. Maybe you agree with me, and you watch it for the other reasons that the event can be very charming. Little League has always had a very positive connotation. It is a brand, all right? I don't even know in my area, and both my boys played youth baseball up until their freshman year in high school. They both played a freshman year of high school and then concentrated on basketball from there on in. But they played travel baseball at a different level than Little League. We never played under the Little League banner. But I'm telling you this, any of those teams, what are those Little Leaguers, 12, right? Any of my son's teams could have whipped one of those 12-year-old Little League teams into mercy rules. It would have gone on for weeks. My oldest son's the one who said it. We were watching the Packers game, the exhibition game, so we could watch TJ, and my son goes, God, we'd have kicked their ass. And he's right. You can't steal, right? You have to have, the pitching is slow. The fields are small. Here's what it is. What you're interested in is the nostalgia of it, the Americana of it. The broadcasts are terrific. Although sometimes I think the coaches go a little too far knowing they're all mic'd up. So there's a lot to like about the event, but I'm just telling you at the core of it, it's not good. Now, I understand the age. You don't have to tell me. I saw it in person, both boys. We would go to Cooperstown, where, by the way, there's some damn good teams. I think you're a little older at Cooperstown to qualify to go to the Field of Dreams there. But no, it's not good baseball. It isn't. And I know that's not a nice thing to say, and I'm not trying to be mean, but when he said it, I went, yeah, you're right. I mean, just in South Florida alone, think of Miami and Broward, Miami-Dade County and Broward, and the talent you could put together at that age and what you would do to those teams up there. Now, why Little League isn't that big here, I don't know. I'm sure it's out there. And now that obviously I've got two boys in their 20s, so I don't worry about this stuff anymore. I'm not involved in youth sports in any way. But yeah, come on now. I would easily put together one of those teams and just stomp and right through it. Stomp. We used to have something called, that was almost a Mitch Hedberg. Boy, I could do an hour on that cat, by the way. Maybe one day we'll talk about Mitch Hedberg. But I remember the Big League World Series that was a little bit older kids, high school kids that would come down to Fort Lauderdale and play at the old Floyd Hall Stadium, which is still around, by the way. But I don't know how much baseball was played there anymore. But it was one of the most fun things I ever did in my life. I'm like 20 years old, and I'm announcing games for different teams that are coming in from out of town. I remember Seaford, Delaware had me announce their games, and Broward had a team, but it was usually Taiwan that won it. Now remember, this is the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. So, foreign baseball or baseball played in foreign countries was a little bit less popular than it is now. We were just learning that other nations could be really good at this game. And we kind of knew about the Dominican Republic. We knew that Cuba had some good players and couldn't get out, but and Puerto Rico, of course, but we didn't know so much about Asia and what those players can do and what they are doing now. Just ask Jack Morris. Look that one up if you don't know what I'm talking about. But speaking of in a society where you really have to watch what you say, Jack, man, thinking is such a valuable tool, and it's such an unpopular thing to do for some people now. But anyway, yeah, I'm just not a fan of the baseball. I get it. It is apple pie or blueberry pie or cherry pie, or somebody please bring me some pie. It's hot dogs, but hopefully not 50 of them eaten in 10 seconds, which is the most disgusting thing in the world. And why do you people watch that? Why? I never did do that rant. I'll save that, I guess, for July 4th next year. But no, it's not good baseball. Okay? I said it. I'm standing by it. I hope you watch. I hope you enjoy it. Get out of it what you want. The nervous parents. I've been the nervous parent. I've been the, you can say some other things I was as a youth parent, but nervous, definitely. All right. That's one that you're not going to like. Now, two. I have studiously avoided talking about Tim Tebow for a long time, and this experiment with the Jacksonville Jaguars that ended this week, as it should have. Because anytime you bring the guy up, he brings up an immediate reaction of either hero worship or just anger. And I'm not into either of those. I don't worship him and I don't hate him. I respect what he did. He is certainly in my lifetime one of the finest college players of all time, and that is going to have to be enough. And for some of you, it just doesn't seem like it was enough. Like anything else you want. Like tomorrow, I expect he's going to try to be a famous heart surgeon, and you all are going to think he can do it. Now, of course, if he thinks he can do it, well, fine. Then go through med school like everybody else. Because apparently he thought he was an NFL tight end and didn't go through NFL tight end school like everybody else. Here's the problem I had with this. Please understand, this is what they said in The Godfather. This is business, not personal. Clear? If you're going to handle this, you Tebow acolytes, this is business. Imagine a football team, your favorite NFL team, signing a guy who never played tight end in college, never played it in high school, played a different position, wasn't very good at it in the NFL, left the NFL in 2015, and 6 years later is trying to win a spot as a tight end and is fourth on the depth chart when he arrives. You would be furious with that team. If his name was Tommy Two-Tone, you'd be furious. But that's exactly what we just went through. Now, I hear you, but Dave, Urban Meyer can do what he wants. He's running that team. He's the coach. He can bring in Tebow. And why shouldn't Tim chase his dreams? Okay. Fully acceptable argument. But did anybody really think this was going to work? Anybody? Did he? I mean, how did the other Jacksonville players feel about this? Remember something. He was in the NFL as a quarterback. First round pick. It was a 25th pick in 2010. Denver. Broncos, Jets, Pats, Eagles. Didn't stick. He won one playoff game. You want me to go to Google and pull up the list of other one-win playoff quarterbacks? It is not a list full of glorified Hall of Famers. So it didn't work. He got into broadcasting and then decided he wanted to play baseball, minor league baseball. And he was just average at best. And average in minor leagues, he won't last. And sure enough, And as everybody assumed the Mets would bring him up to sell tickets because he does a name and people do like him. But they wisely didn't, because it would have been a bastardization of the game. He just wasn't good enough. And it's a little bit of a bastardization of the game what Jacksonville did, what Urban Meyer did. He's not going to, he signed a contract. I'm sure it wasn't guaranteed. I think it was for $920,000. But what about the other people who are fighting for jobs who are actually tight ends? Like people who are really fighting for jobs, really fighting for the opportunity to play. And this guy gets a look. I don't think it's right. And I'm glad it's over. One of the problems with Tebow is because he's so polarizing. I think that hurt him when he was a quarterback. I'm sure there were some teams that didn't want the circus that came with him. And you know what? I don't know if he wanted that circus either. I don't know the man. I never met him. Never heard any bad things about him, but never heard behind the scenes that he was a jerk or anything like that. None of that stuff. And he has done some wonderful things, charity work, and helped people out that I can't dislike the guy. That's why I said this is business, not personal. When in doubt, go to the Godfather for your wisdom. But this was a bad idea. It was never a good idea. And we should all be glad as football fans that it's over and let the actual tight ends compete for tight end spots. Somehow I don't think you're ever going to see a guy who hasn't played in the NFL for 6 years show up at a camp one day at 34 years old and play a position differently from what he played in college. Because that coach and that general manager would be laughed out of whatever city that happened in. And that happened. That actually happened. So let's see what his next move in life is. I'm sure he will continue to do charity work and continue to look like, and by all accounts, appear to be a good guy. He just has an endorsement deal with Clean Juice, which, by the way, is a good product. They could have asked me to do it, but, that's okay. But it is good. It is good stuff, actually. But let's move on from this as quickly as we can, shall we? Shouldn't have ever happened in the first place. Last thing for the day. And I was going to do this Monday, but I kind of got going Monday and just feel like we were both going to be here for too long. I watch HGTV sometimes. I'm married. And there are a couple shows that are all right. I like Love It or List It, even though it's the most formulaic TV show possibly of all time. I feel like I should have a job doing reviews of Love It or List It right after the show is over. I don't know if people do things like that. Maybe you're not even allowed to do things like that. That would be fun. But I'd be mean, so maybe it wouldn't be fun. Maybe it'd be fun for me. There's the shows. There's 170 shows of couples who flip houses or redo houses. And again, formulaic. There's 23 interview stand-ups of them standing side by side, arms around each, like an arm around each other, trying to be funny or trading off quips or whatever. And then occasionally the interview of the stressed person or persons that are involved in this. It's not going to happen, or I don't know what to do, or what's the tough choice or whatever. And it all works out in the end. Everybody's happy. And you have some people on HGTV who have made I'm assuming, a fortune. The Property Brothers, for one thing. Oh my God, the couple from Waco. I'm drawing a total blank on them, but I can see their faces. Chip and Joanna, the Gaineses. They have their own network now. I mean, they've made, I assume, a fortune off of what they do. And that's fine. I don't dislike them. I don't really dislike any of the personalities. One or two, but so what? But what HGTV does that got me mad Friday was it a week ago? Might have been. So they have these shows where people are looking for properties. Beach properties, sometimes an interesting one for me is overseas. Like, we're a couple from Kansas, but my wife got an opportunity to work in Ireland, and so we're going over there. And it's actually kind of fun to see how differently things roll over there as opposed to what they are here in the States. So I'm okay with that stuff. But occasionally you get people who just have too many toys in the box and need to be left off of television. And that's what HGTV does. And maybe it's me with an inferiority complex, although I can't complain about where I live. I really can't, and I shouldn't, and I won't. But there's this rub it in your face kind of look at all the toys. Oh, look at us. We have a boat. We're now going to buy this place on the water. Oh, we like this. No, we don't like this. Oh, and let's take our babies out for walks. And they don't have the kind of dogs that are real dogs. They have these little dogs that are like, exactly the kind of dog that let's get it. I don't know, man. I don't like it. Like, I love it or list it. Occasionally, if you don't know the show, it's very simple. You have a house. You don't like the house, or one of you doesn't like the house. There's usually some emotional tie to it. My mother died here. This house has been in my family since 1517. I bought this house without ever looking at it, but we've fallen in love with it. No, you haven't. Yes, I have. Oh, we have 2 kids, and now the house is too small. Well, maybe you shouldn't have had kids. Or maybe you should have thought, we're going to have kids, so maybe we should get a bigger property. Anyway, they bring in a real estater and a design person, Hillary and David, and they're great, absolutely. What she comes up with, I don't know how people who do design, because my brain cannot function like that at all. But it's very formulaic. And sometimes and I don't know where the producers dig up these people. That's the other part. I blame the producers. Where do you get these people you think they're going to be likable? Because here's what inevitably happens on these shows, particularly this year. There's always a crisis. The permit you can't get, termites show up, something fell. You can't move this because if you do, the whole house will explode. A meteor is about to crash and it's going to hit this house in 3 days. So, we better hurry up and finish it. But there are people who game the system only to who spend their money, who save it or wherever they get their money. And some of it is a lot of money, sometimes like 6 figures. And then they go, hey, look at this. Look at what we're getting. Yeah, you're getting someone to do your house for you and you have no interest in moving. And so you've gamed the system, whereas there were people who probably were passed over by producers who might have been in a more dire situation and really needed the help, but maybe weren't as attractive or funny or cool or whatever they've got going for them. That bugs me sometimes. Maybe they should, I know there's a Robin Hood aspect to this, but in this case, it's you're not robbing anybody. So that bothers me sometimes. And I know they're coached, but are they coached to be annoying? Or are they just annoying and become even more annoying when you turn on a camera? That's my problem. I finally got that out in the open. My wife has heard this before, so now I've gotten a chance to share it with you. All good, huh? Don't we feel better? I do. And I'm not going to attack the 2 people that made me think of this in the first place. But I was on their case, and I don't know why we watched it. They were, you know what? I think the location they were in Destin, which is in the panhandle of Florida, what they call the Redneck Riviera area, which is close to Alabama. Some beautiful beaches there. And quite honestly, Destin is very nice. I've been up. They used to go up there 20 years ago to do a TV show up there with the late Don Sutton for a golf tournament Don had that benefited St. Jude's, and he'd get a bunch of people from the Braves when he was a Brave announcer, and they'd have some incredible auction items and trips and stuff from base. It was really great event, and I'd go up there for 2 or 3 days, and it was a blast. And Destin is really nice. I was actually back there in March of 2020, right before the crap really hit the fan, and it's growing, which probably isn't good. Some of its charm, I think, was it was somewhat undiscovered, but not anymore. But anyway, I think I watched just to see that. But Lord Almighty, they were annoying. And then after all that, they make the only intelligent decision, thankfully, and pick the property that they should have picked, and they did all along. So, was it worth it? Yeah, they got exposure. I don't know if they get paid. I don't know how that all works. And I don't know. I'd love to find out from HGTV where you get these people. Like, how do the property brothers decide, okay, we have 7,000 people that want to be on the show, but you're it? I'm sure that information is out there, and I'm vastly too lazy to look it up. But it's just been on my nerves, man, for so long that I just had to get rid of that. And maybe, is it a twinge of jealousy? Well, listen, I'd love to have $200,000 to spend to refurbish something. I don't. But no, if you have it, great. It's okay. It's you. But holy smokes. So I don't like Little League. Tim Tebow should never have been allowed to play tight end, and HGTV makes me angry. This has been a reflective and cathartic experience on today's Nooner. Just a reminder, Jeopardy needs a new host. They're going to get one. More guest hosts coming up. I don't care who gets it, but the guy, Mike Richards, is not getting it. That's official. That happened about an hour and a half ago now. So that's the end of it. And that's the end of all this complaining. I think I'm coming back Monday. No, I'm not. Actually, Monday, I'm not sure I can do Monday because I've got some work to do over at school. But I'll let you know. You'll find out. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my obnoxiousness today. I really appreciate it. It felt good to unburden myself of these worries. See you next week. Be safe.